How's it going, people? Back for another episode here with Drinks with Chris. What's everybody drinking? I'm having a nice coffee. It's early morning here, so I'm not going to be drinking any alcohol at the moment. But how's everybody doing? Especially over in the US. How are you all coping with the election, with Trump and Biden battling it out? And I can't believe they still haven't decided who's won yet. It's ridiculous. I don't know what the hell's going on that an election takes so long to count all the votes, and I don't know. It seems a bit of a weird one to me, but you're all welcome to come and have a drink with me and let's talk it out. It does look a little bit weird, the whole thing. It just looks like there's a lot of weirdness, a lot of things that shouldn't be happening. But that all kind of fits into what today's episode is about, which is it's a subject that people have been discussing recently with regards to COVID-19 and the reasons behind all of the measures that are being put in place worldwide, globally. The measures all seem to be the same for COVID-19. So it's the lockdowns, it's the only 6 people can meet in a group, or 30 for a funeral or a wedding. Seems to be global. And being shut in your house and you can't go and buy... at the moment, here in Wales, you can go to the supermarket, but you can't buy non-essential items, which is bizarre. I mean, who decides what is essential and what's non-essential? And what is essential? I mean, I went to do my shopping and I saw people buying lottery tickets, and yet you can't go and buy a book. But in the stand where the books were, the books were kind of had tape, kind of like hazard tape. This is a hazard to your COVID health. It had tape across it, but next to it was the section of magazines, and the magazines weren't covered up. So what's essential and what's non-essential? If we're talking about essential and non-essential, then just put the food out there, cancel the alcohol, cancel the sweets. Like, it just seems a bit weird. And so what's going on now is that people are trying to speculate what's behind all these decisions. And I for one find it bizarre. This is the first time I've ever seen kind of the same measures being put in place for a worldwide crisis. So there's a world crisis, no disputing that. That's well known. But who's dictating? Who's saying these are the measures you must take? As in, like, 6. The measure you must take is only 6 people can gather in a group. 6 is the magic number. Why aren't we seeing different governments saying, well, we believe it's 5, we believe it's 2, we believe it's 7? Why is it that all countries are using 6 as the magic number of people that can gather in a group? And why are the measures exactly the same? It doesn't, unless there's one central controlling hub, I don't see why this is normal. So, I'm just going to have a sip. So I don't say that COVID is doesn't exist, because the truth is we don't know, or I don't know. But what I do say is I believe that it's been a heavy overreaction. I saw a document the other day that showed deaths in the UK by all different illnesses. And COVID was right down there at the bottom. Flu has more deaths per year than COVID does. Or I think, sorry, not per year. It was for the month of September that's just gone. But so it's in that context, it's if nothing else, it's an overreaction, because we don't close everything down for flu. We don't say you can't meet your family member who's in a care home. We don't say that you can't have more than 6 people in a group to your house or meet them in a party. So if nothing else, it's an overreaction. And So this is where the idea of this great reset, people started to talk about this great reset and say, well, the people in power are doing a great reset. And then what you got then was you had the mainstream media and the kind of the left-leaning people, commentators online and everything else, saying, oh, what a silly conspiracy theory. Like all of these conspiracy nuts are out again and they're talking about this great reset. But it exists. The great reset is here. People are working on a great reset, and I'll show you. I'll show you that it's not. The craziness of it is, it's actually a thing. It's actually an initiative, and if I can quickly read out some of the components. It says there's three main components. The first would steer the market towards fairer outcomes. To this end, governments should improve coordination, for example, tax, regulation, fiscal policy, upgrade trade arrangements, and create the conditions for a stakeholder economy. So it's talking about spreading equality, spreading wealth, all that sort of thing. The second component of a Great Reset agenda would ensure that investments advance shared goals such as equality and sustainability. So again, it's not about investing to make yourself better. It's about investing in something that's going to benefit more people than just yourself, which sounds very noble. The third and final priority is to harness the innovations of the fourth industrial revolution to support the public good, especially by addressing health and social challenges. So, yeah, I mean, it all sounds very, very nice, but it's here. The Great Reset is what people are working on. It's not just the World Economic Forum. So it makes me think, is this overreaction to COVID, is it something that's being seen as a way to reshape society? And is it kind of, is it a push towards, by the sounds of a Great Reset, is it a push towards a more socialist idea of how our civilization, global civilization, should live? So sharing wealth, looking after all sick, looking after the poor, universal basic income, all of these different things. Is that what the Great Reset is really about? So not listening to all their like waffle and all their jargon, like reading between the lines. Is that what they're looking to do? Now, a capitalist system or a socialist system, to me, it doesn't matter, because if you believe that capitalism or socialism was created to benefit you, then you're severely deluded. Neither of those systems were built to look after people, apart from the people at the top. And that's what this is all about. That's what this is all about. In the kind of the free market capitalist society that we currently live in, like, yes, you've got, I mean, I guess for me that's the difference. You've got the opportunity to get to the top. The issue is it's like in football, having somebody come from a conference team and try to get to the Premier League and try to play in the Champions League. Like, they've got their controls in place in the Premier League, and inside the Premier League, even at the top 6, they've got their controls in place, so you can't get to that level. They've got financial controls that will stop that from happening. You try and bring out, we're in a capitalist society now, you try and bring out a new social media and see what happens. You try and bring out a new app that's amazing and see what happens. What will happen is that the giants will swallow up that new product into their ecosystem, and it'll be gone. And that's how they control everything. And so that's the capitalism. And if you think that being a socialist and thinking that socialism's the answer, like, go and spend some time in Venezuela. It's not what you think. It's not this world, this magical world where everybody has wealth shared amongst them. Everybody's on an equal footing. Everybody benefits. It's absolutely not. It's all of you poor down there. You can share this that we give you, and then us few at the top. It's very, very similar, but us few at the top, we have the wealth and the riches. I mean, show me a government, show me a socialist government in the world where they don't have palaces, where they don't drive around in amazing cars and all of these things. You show me that, because it doesn't exist. So these things have been put in place, these systems, to keep people like me and you down, and to allow people at the very, very top to continue to prosper. So this is kind of what. So it's been painted as a really noble cause, like, oh, we've got this opportunity as a result of COVID now to reshape the world and reshape the way we do things, and so it sounds really noble. And as with a lot of narratives that are being pushed at the moment, it's a narrative that's very difficult to kind of argue against. You can't say you can't say that you don't want a fairer society. Everybody wants a fairer society. So to say our plan is to create a fairer society with more equality, more unity, more. It sounds great. Oh, it sounds brilliant. It sounds incredible. It's like in the US saying, like, from the kind of like the Biden side saying that on the people who voted for Trump, are you happy with these people dying from COVID? Of course not. Of course not. But you've got to look at the reality. It's not just a phrase that you can't disagree with because everybody agrees with it. Of course, I don't want people to die. So it sounds like a very noble cause, but I've got my own thoughts on it and of why I think they're doing it. My mouth's getting dry. And so my kind of theory is that there's a couple of things going on. One is that this system that we're living in has been going for so long now that kind of the debt levels of governments and of organisations, great big corporation entities and things like that, the debt that they're all carrying now is astronomical. So it's almost to saturation level, in my opinion, where there's no way out anymore. So this is why you have boom and bust, because you always have an economy that grows great, and then the bubble bursts, and then everything comes crashing down. The corporations get bailed out, and the little person at the bottom loses their job, loses their company, goes bankrupt, their life's ruined. And that's the way it goes in cycles. But I just think that we've got to a level now where the people at the top, the giant corporations, the people who own so much of the world, they're at a level now where it's not the most sustainable way to live. So they're now searching for a new way to kind of get rid of the debt, remain at the top, share out what's left amongst the little people, so that they feel like they're getting kind of they're receiving their equality. So I think this is what it's about. It's about those elements. And so what does that mean? That means that COVID can be used and exaggerated to say, okay, we need to have lockdowns, regardless of whether it's going to ruin your business. We need to have lockdowns, regardless of whether you lose your job. We need to have lockdowns. And what happens is companies small businesses will fold, and they won't be able to operate. So that business is out. So the competition is getting stripped away. So the wealth is becoming available from the customers of those companies. Now the bigger companies, but who still may not survive, and who still may struggle, are now in a vulnerable position, and they can be swallowed by a bigger company who wants to buy and now wants to see this as an opportunity to invest. So this is what I believe is happening. I believe that this is kind of a move. This is a move to thin out the markets so that there's less competition, and it's a move so that the corporations can get bigger. They can demand more from shareholders because we're growing again now. Look, we're acquiring new businesses, and we're going to grow as a business. That which means more money for you. So this is why I think it's happening. And then kind of with the sharing of equality, that's how they get the support for it. That's how they get the support for lockdowns. That's how they get support for really tough measures. Because it's about going to the public and saying, do you not want equality? You monster. How dare you not want equality? That's disgusting. You don't want other people to... You want people to starve? You want people to... That's... How dare you? And this is how they do it. They make people think, okay, God, no, you're right, actually. No, they're right. They're right. I don't want people to starve. And that's how it always is. So this is the way that they do it. The equality, convincing people... It's easier to convince people that you're doing the right thing and for them then to feel loyalty towards you for giving them equality than to force them into equality and force them into a life of, as North Korea does, for example, forces the citizens to clap now, and you stop, cry more. He died, for God's sake, cry more. Go and sit. She's not crying enough. Go and make her cry. Yeah, that's forcing people, and people that's through forced compliance. But through this soft compliance, it's a way of, these narratives are a way to say, like, wear your mask. You don't want to kill people. Stay locked down. Don't go out. Don't you want equality? Do you want people to die? So this is how it's done, and that's what I believe is happening with this Great Reset. Now that sounds horrible, doesn't it? It sounds terrible. And so bear with me on this, because I'm going to get to where I think it's going, because I don't think it's the scary place that everybody's been talking about and that I'm painting the picture of. So I also think that what's prompted this is, I do believe that there is a group of wealthy corporations who have wealthy CEOs, or social media organisations whose CEO is vastly now powerful, and I believe that I mean it's not that I believe, it's true that there are corporations who are vastly more wealthy than many nations on the planet now. So if they want influence at the NATO top table, at the World Health Organization, like, money talks. They can talk to these countries that are smaller and say, right, I'll pay for the infrastructure, your transport infrastructure. Don't worry about it. I'll pay for it. I'll pay for your transport. I'll pay for your electricity infrastructure. It's fine. But when we get to NATO, or when we get to a vote in this or whatever it is, or United Nations, when we get to a vote, you just look like you want that. You want that electricity. You want that clean running water in your country, which you've never had. Like, I'll pay for that. Don't worry about it. But make sure that you vote the way that make sure you vote for that equality. And so I do believe that those players have always been around, and I think there are a few more of them now that have managed to kind of get to that top table. As I say, we're talking about social media giants, we're talking about all of these huge businesses. And I think now that they're there, I think it's a case now where they want to keep that control, as the control has always been there, and they've always been able to dictate kind of a narrative through the mainstream media, normally through the newspapers, through the television news. They've always been able to maintain a narrative and be able to dictate, okay, well, we need to say this and we need to say this. We need to say there's weapons of mass destruction out in the Middle East so that we can go and bomb and take oil. This is how it works. So everybody, weapons of mass destruction. I don't want to be bombed. I don't want to be a nuclear weapon. I don't something different. Another amazing weapon that's going to come and hurt. I don't want that to happen. Bomb them. Go and take them out. Go and take them. And that's how it happens. It's compliance through a false narrative. And I actually believe that this has been going on for time immemorial. Like almost from the time of biblical times, from the time of Jesus Christ, from the time of all of these biblical figures, and from the time of the Romans, because once you can get a group of people to all believe in the same thing and accept it as gospel, then you then have control of them, because you can use that then. God said that you need to think this way, otherwise, so help you, he'll smite you in your sleep. A thunderbolt will come down if you don't believe the way that this book created by Holy God has told you to live. So I think it's been around from that time, and I just think it's carried on because it's a proven control tool. Is to control a narrative and make people believe in it. And so I've come to these conclusions through reading *Sapiens* and *Homo Deus* from Yuval Noah Harari. Incredible books, but it just shows the power of how our civilization can be controlled, and sometimes needs to be, or it's seen that they need to be controlled, because we shouldn't be living in such huge groups of individuals. And so the only way to do it is to control via narratives. But obviously, that's now become corrupted. So those narratives can now be used to make a lot of people powerful, a small group of people powerful and wealthy, and everybody else picking up the scraps at the bottom. So this is why I think. So that's the way it's always been. But what's happening now, I believe, is that because of the internet, and because people have instant information in their hand, in a phone, like through the internet, they can access They can access 10 different social medias of people who are currently posting evidence of things that are going on, of the research they've done, of the reality of what's going on, whatever it is, elections, corruption, violence, I don't know, claims about this person, claims about that, whatever it is people now can access whatever they want. So I think, I actually believe that the people in power feel like they're losing control now of that power that they had over the narrative. And I think that that is part of what we're seeing play out now. Is they're thinking, shit, like we're telling them that this is what's happening, even though it's not. But we're telling them, and in the past it worked, where they'd start to run with it in there, and they'd start to talk about it with their friends, and it'd start to manifest that they all believed it. And so that's how we could win elections. That's how we could get legislation through. That's how we could enact something like the Great Reset. Oh, but people are now researching, calling us bullshitters. So, and again, like the mainstream media used to, it still is. I mean, it's worse now than it's ever been, in my opinion. But it's always pushed a narrative, and it's always been controlled by certain individuals. So when they tell you that this candidate is terrible for an election, everybody in the past would go, oh, yeah, no, that's horrible, yeah. Now, when they say that this, they say, I don't know, this person said this in the past, and this I'll give you some examples later because I've got some examples. But said this in their past, then people are going like internet or on their phone, like quickly having a look on their phone, going, hang on a second, no, they didn't say that. Show me where they've said that, and this is so people are able to in real time call out the bullshit, and so I believe that the people who are in power are struggling now because they wanted their global society, their one country world, their one world society, where they could really be in control of a lot of people, and I think that the indicators that they're losing control to them is what's happened through recent general elections and for example Brexit. That it was never believed that people would not believe the narrative that it is better to be in the EU than to be out of the EU. It's better to be under their control than to be under your government's control. It's better to be under the EU's control than to be free and outside because you don't know what you're doing. We do. We deal with all this complex financial geopolitics, and so we know how best to deal with that for you. That's where they're starting to feel like they lose control. That was followed by the general election in the UK. Nobody wanted, because if the opposition, if Labour could have got in at that general election, they could have overridden the Brexit result. So again, that was a sign that they were losing control. And now with Trump getting into office in 2016, again, that's a sign. They're like, they're thinking to themselves, what is going on? Seriously, what is going on? We're using the methods that we've used throughout history to control what people think and control who they vote to put into office, and they're not swallowing it, and something's going on, and we're losing control of this now because it's damaging our finances. I'm sure Brexit would have damaged a lot of portfolios and businesses and would have lost value. I'm sure that Trump's election, I'm sure that the general election in the UK with the Conservatives coming into power, all of these things are indicators that the real people at the top feel like they could be losing control. And then these reactions now with the overreaction with COVID, all of these sorts of things are really indicators that they're kind of, in my opinion, they're starting to panic a little bit. So now that I've spoken a little bit about the Great Reset, let me know what you think. What's your opinion of the Great Reset? Do you think it's a good thing? Do you think I'm right in what I'm saying that it maybe we've got to kind of look a bit deeper and be a bit more skeptical about what's going on? I don't think you need to look further than COVID and the way that people have been treated with regards to lockdowns and not seeing their family and all of these things, and it being an overreaction when you compare it to other illnesses. I think we've got to look at it and say, well, if they can't get that right on a global scale, then why should we trust what you're telling us about a Great Reset? So another element of this Great Reset, which I've noticed, which is quite interesting, is currency. So Christine Lagarde, who is the president of the International Monetary Fund, I believe, who incidentally was again, I don't know if this is true or not, was convicted of fraud apparently in her previous role in government in, I'm not sure which country it was, so don't quote me on that. Maybe I'm wrong. So she's now the president of the International Monetary Fund, and so recently she released a video on Twitter, but it's also been videos that she's done for the last couple of years where she's been talking about having a digital currency, a digital EU. She might be the head of finance of the EU. I'm not sure. Anyway, a digital euro. So, and where this has come from, again, in my opinion, is that there's a panic setting in that people are now using crypto more and more. And so people are transacting outside of the monetary system that the people in power rely on as a control again. Because you can't tax crypto. You can't tax. You can't you can't control. You can't inflate, or you can't do anything with cryptocurrency because people have got the power. People are like, okay, well we've got this currency now, and we can use it how we like. I can buy from you. The government doesn't need to know what we're doing. So I think that they want a slice of that pie. They're concerned that it's growing. So at what point will people stop using traditional currency and only use cryptocurrency? And I just think that they believe that they can, as Christine Lagarde says in her video, that they can potentially consolidate everything away from a physical currency into a digital currency. And I think it's a way, again, where they can kind of get rid of a lot of the physical debt, the deficits versus cryptocurrency. I think they believe that once they can get into that game, they can see how it works, and they can say, okay, this is how we're going to attack this problem. This is how we're going to attempt to regulate. This is how we're going to, whether it be through direct regulation or whether it be through creating something that people will prefer to use or whatever it is. It's the game that they play. So currency, for me, that's another indicator that this is one of the reasons why they want to do the Great Reset, is so that they've taken physical currency as far as it can go. They've pushed it absolutely as far as they can go. So I think that they want to now take it back again to almost to zero and start again okay, so we can start inflating again, and make people rich again. The ones who go bust, sorry, you've gone bust. The ones who don't, now will continue to get rich. So yeah, I just think that's a bit of an indicator. Social media and the mainstream media, it's they've controlled the narrative for a long time now, and it's interesting because social media, I've spoken about this before, but social media was always seen as a beacon of free speech. You can go there and you can say whatever you like, say absolutely whatever you want. You go and say on social media, and it's become apparent now, leading up to with COVID and then leading up to the presidential election in the US. It's become apparent now that they don't think they're in control anymore because they're starting to censor now. So that's why the censorship's coming. They wouldn't censor things that they thought weren't against what they're trying to achieve. They wouldn't do it. So it shows that there's a reason they're doing it, is because it's not equal across the board. It's one-sided. So there's something going on where the media is panicking, and the fact that the mainstream media, the news these days. I watched yesterday. I just thought I'll just have a little bit of a coverage, have a little bit of a watch of the US election on ABC News. So I went on their live YouTube feed, and I couldn't believe how biased it was. Again, like, not my country, I'm not that bothered whether it's Trump or Biden or whatever, but I honestly couldn't believe why it was so biased towards Joe Biden. So it was like it was really talking up a narrative. There was not one moment where anybody said, okay, like, let's give the good points of Donald Trump and the good points of Biden, and it was all like absolutely not, like, whatever Trump had said was completely wrong. Every word that he said was wrong, and every word that Biden said was real gospel, like, oh, what a great guy and everything else. So mainstream media, the indicator there that they're worried and that they want to take back control is that there's no impartiality now. So before they could run a narrative but still appear impartial, and that was a really good trick, because you'd allow a few people who were to argue against what the message was, what the narrative was, but then you'd be able to push enough of the narrative that people would believe what you were saying. But not anymore. There's none of that anymore. They're tribal now. They're on a team. And they're just promoting. It's just a propaganda tool now, and you can really see it. And it's incredible. I mean, we've been told for years that Russia, China, all these other countries are horrendous because of the way that they oppress their people and the way that they don't allow free speech. The Middle East, they don't allow free speech and all of this sort of stuff. And look what's going on now. I find it fascinating. I really do. So I just think that the censorship also shows that the people in charge are trying to take control of the internet and of social media. And so because they need to have that control of the narrative. So they can't have people showing evidence and sharing evidence, and then everybody shares it across social media, and suddenly it's huge, and suddenly it's been seen by 1 million eyes, and you're like, Christ almighty. Like, that's the power of the internet. So I do believe that whoever's in charge and the governments, they want to take control of the internet, whether it's through regulation or whether it's through kind of infiltration of going into the social media platforms and having some sort of presence there, as Nick Clegg of the Liberal Democrats in the UK has done at Facebook. He's gone in to be the European president of Facebook, or whatever role he's doing. So I just think that people are. I just think that there's a lot of signs that there's panic going on. That the people are starting to get too much control. So the narrative needs to be readdressed, so that they've got control of that narrative again, and other people can't speak out. And so just following this, just following the presidential election in the US has just been such an eye opener. The president of the US being censored, completely censored, when he's got, in my opinion, on Twitter, for example, he's got legitimate concerns about the possible corruption, the potential corruption that may be going on at polling stations, and holding back ballots and not counting ballots, and then suddenly 140 ballots appear out of nowhere, none of them for Trump, but all of them for Biden. It's a bizarre thing, and so these are kind of things that have been fact-checked, and you can see in impartial graphs that are from organisations that monitor polling and votes and things like that. So it just seems that during this election we've been able to see the reality of what's going on with social media and with the media. So it's not a free for all as we thought it was, as I thought it was. And similar to what's happened with COVID, and the way that I feel that COVID has been a coordinated effort across the world. The response has been very, very coordinated and very exact, even though, in my opinion, it's been an overreaction. You can quote me on that. It's the same with the narrative and the censorship that's been pushed pro-Joe Biden and anti-Donald Trump. And it's through the media, through social media, through campaigns. It's all a very, very coordinated effort to push away to push away narratives that don't suit their agenda. And I also think that it's also shown what's going on with kind of the Great Reset. I believe that as the people in power have decided that we can't let this happen again. We cannot. Brexit happened. Trump won the first general election. The Conservatives won the general election post-Brexit. We can't let this happen again. At all costs, we can't let this happen. And that's what you can see, which is incredible. That's what you can see that with. It looks to me, and again, I'm only saying through my eyes, it looks to me like there's vote tampering and ballot tampering going on at the voting sites. All different kinds of tampering. And so I believe that what it shows is that the people who are trying to take back power, they're not averse to corruption and vote tampering. At this stage, they feel like they've lost so much control that they need to take it back. It doesn't matter if they need to do it by corruption. They must take back control. And so it's mad. I mean, I'm going to give you a couple of examples. There's evidence of, in one state, there was evidence of too many votes being added. So, for example, there was more votes added it was more votes added in one state than there were people registered. there's you get Antifa are all over the place, kind of amassing, waiting for the result, and then piles of bricks are showing up in the cities again, which is incredible. Kind of somebody's placing them there, ready for them to trash places. There's these ridiculous jumps in votes for Biden from the mail-in orders, and not one vote for Trump, which is bizarre. It's bizarre that's even that's it. Look, and again, I'm not saying that I'm pro one side or the other. I'm not really. I think they're all corrupt. But it's incredible to hear people say that that's normal. That you would get a bag of mail, tip it out. Oh, they're all for Biden. Not only one bag, it'd be truckloads because it was like 140,000 votes. And so it's like people having their votes taken away, people checking online and finding out that their vote was cancelled for whatever reason. People removing ballot boxes. People, I don't know. There's just so much weirdness going on. And so what it points to for me is that whoever's in power, or whoever wants the power now, again, are not averse to making it happen through corrupt means. One of the weirdest things was when the people who were counting the votes decided that they were tired and it was time to go home and sleep, and we'll come back in the morning and count. That's not. No. You you count until the count's done. That's how it works. There's no whoa, we're tired now, we're going to go home and we'll come back. There's something dodgy there. Something really dodgy. And then there was other instances where when people went to the polling station, they were given Sharpie pens. And so when they voted at that polling station, once all of the voting had been done, they were told that any polling any votes with a Sharpie pen would be invalid. And so, you look at this and it does look corrupt to me. Let the people vote. If you're not worried, if you're not panicking, let the people vote. But there's a reason that they're panicking. And it's all about this narrative. It's all about not being. They're no longer able to control that narrative. And I saw something interesting that with regards to people going home at night and whatever. I saw somebody tweet. It was a Venezuelan guy, and he tweeted. And he said, "This reminds me of Venezuela, of how Venezuela works. So you go and they have the normal election, everybody goes out and votes, but then overnight, everybody says, oh, we're going to go home. And then overnight, amazingly, a load of votes appear out of nowhere for the ruling party. And that's how it works in socialist Venezuela. That's how they keep their man in charge. Because you go away and overnight you can see how many votes have been counted elsewhere or for the opposition or whatever else. And so you say, okay, this is what we need to make happen. And it's to see it happening in the US. It's incredible. It's an incredible scene, honestly. I find it fascinating more than anything. It's like it is scary, but we're just pawns in a game, aren't we? So for me, it's less scary but more fascinating. One thing that I do find sad is that it appears that we've been sold an illusion that we were free and that our vote counted, and that's how we got things done as a society, was to go and vote, and my vote will count and I will be heard, and if other people agree with the way that I'm voting, then that's what happens. And it just doesn't seem to be the case anymore. Has it ever been the case? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe that's never been the case. That we've been free. Maybe we've never been free. But it was easier to control us by allowing us to believe that we were free, and if we didn't like the current person in charge, then we need to go somewhere else. So it's the same in the UK. The MPs in the House of Commons yesterday voted on the next lockdown in England, and the ruling party, in the Tories, a lot of people, well, I say a lot of people, quite a few MPs voted against having another lockdown because they know how destructive it's going to be for people's lives, losing jobs, their businesses going down and going under, and so they voted against. Only a few, but what was telling was that Socialist Labour Party all voted for the lockdown. So what does that tell you? The government puts forward a motion for a lockdown, and the opposition vote with the government, with a few people saying no, I don't agree. Like we're in a strange place now. So to be honest, I don't really blame, and I look at other countries such as some of the countries in the Middle East, Russia, China. I bet they're looking over and thinking to themselves, like, look at these idiots. The same way that we're told to think about them, they look at our political system and say, look at these poor oppressed people. It's interesting, isn't it? Like we're genuinely not free. And so I'd love to know your opinion. Do you think we're being challenged as a people? Do you think that the elites, the people in power, the corporations, the giants, do you think they're trying to wrestle back control? Do you think they've lost control? Let me know what you think. Let me know in the comments. So then this brings me on to what I call the Great Awakening. So up until recently, I was feeling really down about everything. I think it was COVID that was making me just think this is not right. We're living through an age where we're no longer free and we're being pushed down. We're being locked in our houses. We're being oppressed. Our liberties are getting taken away. We're having to wear masks. The evidence doesn't stack up really for these measures. They're very extreme. And so I'd thought for a long time I could feel this power grab from our overlords, from the people in power. I could feel it, and it was sad, and I just thought it's really sad. I mean, it made me want to just go back go back to Colombia and just go and live remote somewhere and just be back in nature where I'm free and I know that kind of nothing can touch me and just have contact with the local people. Who I know over there, like it's paradise for me over there, kind of I love people and I love to interact and so it's paradise. So I was thinking about that, and anyway, so it was getting to me, and I was thinking, yeah, it's over. Like the people in power have got control now, and that's what I believed. But then I started to think about it, and I thought, why are they so blatantly now trying to take back control? Control of narratives, control of the people, control of what we do, control of our lives. Why are they doing that? Why not just carry on? If you're being successful in what you want to do, what you want to achieve, why not carry on? And then I realised it's because they're losing their power. The elites are losing their power. They're losing their strength. They're losing their ability to control a narrative and control people's minds and control our daily lives. They're losing that power. Whether it's through finance, whether it's through the money, the way that we pay for things, whether it's through who we vote for, they're losing control. So this is where I came up with the idea of the Great Awakening. Because the elites may think that they're doing a great reset, but it's in the middle of something much bigger. And what I'm talking about is that the people, you and me, there's now a Great Awakening. Forget about the politics because it's bullshit. It's bollocks. It's not real. It's just a construct to live in a political system now. But you and I, regardless of what we think is the best way forward and the best political parties in elections and things like that, regardless of all of that, if we want to go and find out information, we can do it in a second. We just get our phone out. We go on the internet. We go on social media. We can find information in a second. We can find out if something's true in a second. And this is the Great Awakening. It's not a great reset. They think it's a great reset. But it's not. This is the Great Awakening. This is where people like you and me say we no longer have to accept what you offer us on a plate. We don't need to do that anymore. We don't need to accept your approval or your handouts. We don't need to do that. We can live and work anywhere. I can go and live in the middle of kind of a forest in Alaska, and I can live there, and I can live well, and I can stay connected with people over the internet. I'd have to set up, obviously, the communication lines and everything else, but I can do that. I can go and live a million miles away. I can use cryptocurrency so the elites never get a penny of that cryptocurrency. And I can research, and I can do my research, and I can learn, and I can expand my brain, and I can learn how to do things. This is the Great Awakening. And I think that, weirdly, and a friend of mine, Mauricio, shout out to Mauricio, he said a similar thing, that COVID has had an adverse effect. So they've locked people down because we need to take control of this now. This has got out of hand. They've locked people down. They've furloughed people from their jobs, and people have gone home and they've got, okay, so I'm not working anymore. Like twiddling your thumbs, start doing a bit of research. Oh, that's interesting. Huh? And suddenly people have started to go, hang on a second, I thought that this was reality, when in fact this is reality. I didn't think that was real. I find out it's real. Like, for example, I never thought that I personally never thought, I'd heard about it a long time ago, about Epstein and having a paedophile island that all these celebrities would fly to, and there'd be young girls there and everything else. I never believed that. I thought, what a load of rubbish. Like, that's so far-fetched. Like, knowledge is power. And so people are starting now to wake up. And so this is the Great Awakening, and this is why they're panicking. This is why they want a great reset to stifle the awakening, but we can't let that happen. So I want you to be a bit more, a bit happier about it, a bit more positive. It's not the Great Reset that they've been telling us it is. Remember narratives? So they're saying great reset. It's time for a great reset, time for equality. It's time for us to reset. You're going to help us to do a great reset. Oh, we've got the opportunity to change the world again, and great reset, great. No, guys. No. This is the Great Awakening. You work for us now. I'm the captain now. Right? This is the Great Awakening. And you need to realize that they don't have the power that you think they do. So I just think that people are starting to believe now and wake up. Something's changed. Something's changed whether it was Brexit or whether it was anything else. Something's changed where people don't swallow the bullshit anymore, and they can go and check. And it's beautiful. It's beautiful. Like, don't accept what people have told you. Go and check for yourself. It's amazing. I mean, people can go and fact check and research. You can research anything now. And so, like, for example, a good example of this is when there's been a narrative pushed by the mainstream media, by social media, by a lot of commentators that Donald Trump's racist. And so when people say that, you say Donald Trump's racist. So you say, give me some evidence, and they say, well, he said this and this and this and this. You say, okay, cool. I want to research that. So if you can provide me with the videos of him saying those things, then cool. Like, I'm going to go and have a look at them, and so I'll form my opinion then. But this is an example, is that you go and research and you can't find anything where he's saying something racist at all. And so what people tell you he said, when you go and look at what they are saying that he said, it's not what he said. So this is huge. This is huge. People are like, okay, I'm going to go and check. And it's the same as with Brexit as well. When after post Brexit, then the commentators, the people that were allowed onto news programs and onto the mainstream media and on, they've just pumped and pumped and pumped. You don't know what you were voting for. You don't know what you were voting for. You don't know what you were voting for. So again, people are like, hang on a second, I do know what I was voting for. Well, what were you voting for? I was voting to be free. I was voting to be more free than I didn't like the way things were going. I didn't. I voted because it just didn't feel right. But you didn't know what you. No, you were influenced by a red bus with numbers on the side. No, I wasn't, and I don't think anybody was. Like, I voted for Brexit, but I voted for Brexit because I can see that there's a corrupt power, elite kind of power grab, where there's few people at the top, unelected, who across the world, so EU involved, but I'm talking about globally, who want a great reset. Christine Lagarde from the EU, a great reset where everybody resets. They reset their money and continue to get rich, and everybody else has to share out equality, to share out the scraps at the bottom. And so people, I think when people vote now, they don't vote based on what they're told. They vote based on the research they do. So again, just as an example, Trump racist, I'm going to go and research Trump racist. Well, I can't find anything where he actually says anything that I think is racist. So, okay, so if you're telling me that and that's a lie, so the next thing now you've told me something else, how do I know that that's true? And then what they're also doing, I think, is they're looking around themselves, like what's going on in their daily lives. Like, again, with COVID, like, you go out and about and you speak to people, and I have worked when there wasn't lockdown. I was working through COVID and wearing a mask and everything else. And I don't know anybody who's had COVID. And I certainly don't know anybody who's died from COVID. So that, again, my own experience, squaring that with what I'm being told, that it's running like a wildfire and people are dropping like flies and everything, doesn't add up. And so again, people are like, this doesn't make sense. This doesn't make sense at all. And so this is the Great Awakening. People are questioning. Right, you need to do this. Why do I need to do that? Why? Because this is happening, and because you didn't know what you were voting for, and because you believed a bus, and because Trump's racist, and because... No. Well, no, I'll form my opinion and I'll decide what I do. And that's what people are starting to do now. And I think that's what is petrifying. It's terrifying for the people who've ruled over us for so long. Because now they're like, this is bad. People aren't listening to what we're saying. So we need a great reset. Whatever it is, COVID-based, vaccine-based, whatever they decide, we need to reset, because this can't go on. It's getting worse. We can't take back control as we normally would. It's getting worse. And so that's what's happening. They're worried. They're so worried. And corruption kind of seems to be rife now. And so I don't know if corruption is more common now. I don't know. Or is it just that because people are waking up and able to research, and through leaks online, through WikiLeaks, through leaks via Reddit, through whatever, it's incredible that people can go and see the corruption firsthand. They can see all of the corruption firsthand, and it's brilliant. It's amazing that people can go out and they can see it. So either the corruption is as a result, it's getting more because they're panicking, or it's always been there and people are just seeing it more now. You can see individuals who have crooked dealings with China and with Russia, and that's bizarre in myself. In itself, like the whole Joe Biden thing is like he's being paid. He's received payments from China and Russia through his son. Or his son has... Okay, I'll rephrase that. His son has received payments organising meetings with his father, so payment for access to his father, with China and Russia. Now, what you've got to look at there is how much... Is that all the payment? Is that all the money? Or is there more? And again, I'll go back to what I said about corporations and countries and states able to pay and influence people and say, okay, if you can move this way, if you can go my way, and you do things how I want you to do them, then there'll be more of what I've given you coming your way. And so is that happening? I mean, who's controlling these candidates? Who's corrupting them? Yeah, is that how they're puppets? So people have always said that the people in charge are kind of, people talk about the deep state and the people behind the curtain and everything else. But is that how it works? Is it not, like, maybe it's not it's not as clear as how we portray it in our minds, I guess, where you think that there's somebody behind a curtain and they put forward they all talk amongst themselves and they put forward a candidate. I don't think it's that. I think it's more a case of there's money involved and the people that are pushing them are paying them to be the pawn. So, okay, we pay you. You campaign, get into power, and we continue to pay you, and we influence, and we tell you what we'd like to happen, and if you want to continue being paid, and you want, that's how it works, and so it's just a bit bonkers that this is still going on. But it's more visible now. That's the good thing. It's a lot more visible now. The only thing that I do despair about, and I do like it, not despair, but I feel worried. Not worried. I'm trying to think of the right word. The people who go along with the narratives. So the people who repeat the narratives, those are the people that I would like to help to awaken. Because there are people who still believe the narratives. And I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because they just don't like, for example, they don't like Trump, or they don't like whatever. They don't like Nigel Farage with Brexit. Maybe that is like a trigger for them where they then... The narrative that's fed from the mainstream media is more acceptable and more palatable for them than actually saying, okay, well, I don't like the guy, but I'm going to open my mind and see what I'm trying, what people are showing me, and then I'll go and find out for myself. It's I don't know. I'm glad that more people are waking up. I just want it to continue going and going and going. Cryptocurrency is just great. Like I've already spoken about it a little bit, but the Great Awakening, I think more people need to start using crypto and investing in crypto, and because I do honestly believe there's a lot of things that we use and we're told. Social media is one that we're told is not controlled by governments and it's free, and we're able to take advantage of that free speech and that free platform and everything else. And then it turns out that actually no, like people have got fingers in their pie and they're censoring people, and it's not free anymore. And so sometimes I do think to myself about crypto. I think, is it a free currency, or is it the same as social media where you continue to kind of promote it so that everybody gets on board, and then boom, once everybody's plugged into that matrix, that's it, you switch it on, and that's it, it's part of the system again. I don't know. I guess time will tell. I'd like to think it's not. I do think it's caused enough disruption, and there's been enough people in governments and things against it initially that I hope that it's just kind of... I hope there's not going to be a surprise down the line, but it's... But as I say, like once they want a seat at the table, the people in power, because they can then figure out how to control it. Once they know how the systems and how it works and everything, then I believe that they want to control it. But I don't think that can happen. I mean, the sooner we can get into a system where we can just use kind of crypto all the time for everything, that'd be it'd be incredible. I think. So I think people aren't fooled anymore, are they? It's people want to find out what the truth is. I mean, one of the incredible stories of this presidential election was the Black and Latino vote that keeps getting talked about. The Black and Latino vote, that kind of Black people, Latino people much more than anybody else, all voted for Trump, or many of them voted for Trump, which they had never done kind of before, or would never have done before. And I think, again, I've seen a lot of videos on social media where there are people in the streets kind of speaking to other people and saying, look, man, open your eyes, go and do the research, because it's not what we've been told. Like you've got like kind of rappers and things, Lil Wayne, like he's really awake. The guy knows, he's very intelligent. The guy knows. 50 Cent, like he came out and said, hang on a second, like how much tax? You're going to tax me 60% of everything I make? Like I work hard for the money that I make, as we all do. You're going to tax me 60%. I'm voting for Trump. That's what he said. And so, like, you've got people who in the past would have still listened to the media, going, no. And like, the thing is this really narks me, man. Like, black and Latino voters, again, already categorising those groups and then politicising the groups. Like, forget about that. People are waking up. Everybody, us, it's me and you. All of us are waking up. Forget about the colour of their skin. That's again, like it narks me that people are so intent on focusing on that. Like, forget about that. What it is that these people have been at the bottom of the social ladder for so long and downtrodden and told you're black, you're Latino, these are your jobs, stay down there. And people are waking up. People are like, no, not anymore. Hang on a second, I'm going to find out how to do this. I'm going to find out how to make money online. I'm going to find out how to get a job. I'm going to find out how to write a banging CV, and I'm going to go and get this job. I'm going to go and get this So with that culture of using online to gain knowledge, people from all backgrounds now are waking up and saying, hang on a second, what are you trying? Are you trying to fool me? You're trying to ask me to vote for you and then give you 60% of my wages? Are you mad? And people are waking up. It doesn't matter anymore. So I think it's just over the years that people of kind of minority backgrounds, or people of not minority backgrounds, poor people from the lowest rungs of the ladder, like they've had smoke screens blown in their faces for a long time now, and being told like, this is the reality. You're being downtrodden. People are against you. People are racist against you, and you're never going to get opportunities. And the system's racist, and all of this, and this, and this. And people are kind of waking up now. People are saying, not anymore. Like whether that's true or not. First, I'm going to investigate it to see whether it's true. And if they believe that that's true, then cool. Like that's the beauty of forming an opinion based on doing your research. But then also, like they're saying, I don't need to stay down anymore. Like that's not my place. I can learn something online. I can change things. I can find information instantly, and I can go and do this, and I can go and do this, and I can coach people, and I can teach people, and I can do an online course. I can offer an online course. I can make some money. I can do this. I can do that. I can learn about. I think it was. What's his name? Comedian. What's his name? Fuck. Can't remember. But anyway, there's a guy who said, like, one of the issues in the black community is, and he was talking to Tony Robbins. He was saying one of the issues in the black community is that black people in those communities weren't educated on finances and on kind of the basics of looking after your finances. And so it's important that people educate themselves. And he was saying that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to kind of help people to learn about how to manage your finances, where to invest, how to make money grow, how to save money, how not to waste money. So this is the sort of thing, and that's just an example. I'm not talking about I'm not talking about specifically the black community. I'm talking about anybody who are disadvantaged, who don't get everything, who kind of don't get the foot up on the ladder, that higher up the social kind of social construct you are you get a foot up on the ladder and you get a helping hand. The people at the bottom don't have that, and so now they can attain that for free online. So people are starting to become more intelligent now, and it's I guess what they're saying is what they're doing with the corruption we're seeing at the moment, and disrespecting the voters and kind of saying you're an idiot, saying you're a racist, saying you don't know what you're voting for. They're showing their disrespect to the people, to us. And they're also saying that they don't need our votes anymore. So, like, an example of this, and that's worrying in itself, but it's not something we need to really worry about because we're awakening, aren't we? Is that I heard Biden say he doesn't need votes to win the election. And now in the UK, with all these lockdowns, it's the Tories are saying we don't need your votes to win an election, in my opinion, because nobody's going to vote for them at the next election. So if that's the case, maybe it's just that it's just an illusion. Sorry. Maybe it is just an illusion that we've got different parties doing elections. Maybe it is just one big club. And maybe that's why, because they're like, it doesn't matter. The other team get in, it's fine. Because we're all still here. We're all still getting our huge wages. We're all still part of this big club. So they're saying we don't need you. We don't need you voters. But what's clear to me with the Great Awakening is that we no longer need them. We no longer need politicians. In the past, politicians were there to give us information. They were more educated than us. They were more informed than us. And they were there to give us the information. And we'd take the information because we didn't know or we weren't educated. And they'd feed it to us and we'd have to accept it. But we don't anymore. So it makes me wonder, do we need the ruling class anymore? Do we need politicians? Do we need overlords? I don't think we do. I don't think we need them anymore. I think we could live in it. We could form a society. I mean, a good example is things like crypto, like some of the dark web markets and things like that. That they become ecosystems on their own. These are just ecosystems that work well. They work really well, and they don't need interference. And I think that there would need to be some checks and balances in place, but we don't need to be controlled anymore. We can break free, and we can say we've had enough of this. We don't need to be part of their game anymore. And so I repeat, they think that they don't need us. The truth is we don't need them. Without the interference of politicians, without an election, I mean, the division that an election causes between people, between communities, between societies, like it's so incredibly divisive, and people arguing for their side and arguing for their team. When in between, when there's no campaigning, when there's nothing to fight over, people just get on with their lives and are friendly with each other and talk to each other and love each other, man. So, continue to do what you're doing. Continue to learn new things, to consume information, to consume content, to question what you see. Question everything. Question everything. Every single thing you see, question it. Don't take it as gospel. Don't take because somebody said to you that's true. They're taking you for a mug. We're all free. We're all the same. Regardless of our skin colour, of our background, of where we came from. These are things that they continually, of our sexuality, these are things that these are themes that are continually, this identity politics, are continually mentioned again and again and again on social media, on the news, in the papers, in the magazines. It's constant, and that's a brainwashing tactic. It's propaganda. And so we're all free. We're all free beings. We're all free entities. And we're all the same. We're all individual, but we're all the same at the same time. But the people in power want to continually tell us that we're not. And that's disgusting. We're all the same. We all have dreams, we all have fears, we all have things that we want to achieve, we all have things we want to do in the future, we all have loves, we all have people that we love, we all have passions, we all have hobbies, we all have things that we want to enjoy. But these are all things that like we need to be leaving the house and not be locked down and not be told that this group is against our group and this. We're all one. And you need to just keep remembering that and treat everybody on that basis. So, look, man, the Great Awakening is here. Enjoy it. It's not going away. They want it to go away using a great reset, but it's not. They're going to find, you'll see that they'll try to do this great reset, and you'll see that it's not, it won't happen. So enjoy it. Just enjoy learning, enjoy researching, enjoy finding out what's true and what's not true. When somebody comes up with some new information or a new story about something that sounds incredible, go and look at it. Don't allow people to say it's conspiracy theory and you're a conspiracy nut. Again, that's a way for them to invalidate what you're trying to say. But this is it. They've no longer got control. They've lost control completely. And even if, I mean, at the time of me doing this, even if Joe Biden wins the general election, so in my opinion, he's the candidate that the people in power want. Even if that happens, it's not, the genie can't be put back in the bottle. This Great Awakening can't be suppressed. It will continue to rumble on. And there's nothing they can do. There's tons of us and there's only a few of them. There's no way that they can silence everybody. So when you start to worry about what's going on and everything else, and the lockdowns and like people trying to put controls on you and trying to do this, trying to do that, just remember, it's everybody's waking up. Everybody's waking up to these kind of dictatorships and tyrannies, and so just enjoy it. Don't stress yourself out too much, because it's not real. We're starting to see it's not real. This is a construct to scare us and to make us compliant, and it's not. We don't need the people anymore. We don't need our overlords to give us information anymore. So enjoy it. Start to enjoy your life again. If you need to make changes in your life, do it. You don't like where you are in life, you don't like your job, go and change it. Oh, but I can't change it. Why not? Because I don't have experience, I don't have knowledge about another area. Get on the internet, learn, do free courses, learn new things, sell things, learn how to sell something, learn how to do whatever it is. Just continue to awaken, and don't let people tell you that you're not worthy of doing that or you're not clever enough to do that. You are. So look, all I want to say, like the last thing I want to say is it's not lost. What looks like people trying to oppress is actually them panicking. And the world is waking up now to the reality of this system that we live in. So just sit back, relax, enjoy it. And look, it's all about love. I love you all and love each other. Just share that feeling with other people. Don't let politics and people telling you that this is happening and people are against you. Like, forget all that. Love each other and enjoy interacting, enjoy what we're here for. What we're here ultimately for is the experience. So, look, thanks very much for listening and watching, and I hope you've enjoyed it. If you want to talk about anything that I've spoke about here in this Great Awakening that we're all experiencing at the moment, then please get in touch. If you're struggling with the current situation, then get in touch with me on social media, anywhere that you like. Connect with me on Instagram, Chris Russell Hosp on Instagram. Send me a message. Get in touch with me on Twitter, on wherever, and let's talk, because I can help you. I can help you understand this Great Awakening that means that nothing that happens with a great reset is actually real or actually valid. So I can help you to see that if that's what you want. So get in touch, and for any more kind of knowledge that I'm bringing to you. And other than that, man, have a beautiful, beautiful day. The sun is just coming out here in Wales, so it's a sign that there's a bigger power out there that's looking down on us all. But just enjoy life, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise, that everybody's against each other and we have to go and vote for one overlord over another overlord. We don't need anybody anymore. So anyway, thank you very much. Thanks for listening, watching. Please subscribe, press the bell notification so that you know when I do any more videos. And I'll see you again on the next video next week. Thank you very much.